The program provided opportunities to both countries to share experiences, knowledge exchange, and learn from each other. Such a mechanism for boosting regional and bilateral coordination and cooperation for SDGs implementation should be rolled out further to all different areas and themes of SDGs implementation. Bilateral exchange of knowledge, ideas and lessons learned could also help in strengthening country-level cross-cooperation and learning for SDGs implementation. Innovative ideas across SDGs goals can be replicated by establishing bilateral platforms for cooperation at program and project levels. International development partners can play a critical role in creating synergies and triangulation. Ladies and gentlemen, countries including Pakistan have been facing environmental hazards and risks, thus necessitating climate adaptation and disaster risk management. It is the biggest man-made natural disaster that we are experiencing today. Pakistan ranks among the top 10 countries worldwide most affected by climate change. With due cognizance of its vulnerability, particularly in the aftermath of recent floods in the country, the government of Pakistan played an instrumental role and a leading role in historic decision of COP27 to establish the Fund for Loss and Damage caused by climate-induced disasters. The dedicated Fund for Loss and Damage will address losses and damages in developing countries such as Pakistan and others, which are particularly vulnerable to the adverse impacts of climate change. The consensus decision taken to this effect by the 27 COP in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, is a momentous achievement, especially for the Group of 77 in China, as the developing countries have been demanding such a fund for the past 30 years. The 2022 floods have shown Pakistan's high vulnerability to climate change despite contributing less than 1% of global greenhouse gas emissions. And also Maldives is here with us on the panel, which runs the risk of sinking in the rising water of sea. The scale of the disaster is unprecedented in Pakistan, exceeding the damage of the 2010 floods. Around 33 million people, that is 1 in 7, have been affected by the floods, including nearly 8 million displaced. Rain-induced floods, accelerated glacial melt and resulting landslides, hail torrents, flash floods devastated millions of homes and key infrastructure, submerging entire villages and destroying livelihoods of millions of people. The preliminary estimates suggest that as a direct consequence of the floods, the national poverty rate will increase by 4% approximately, pushing between 8.4 to 9.1 million people into poverty. 94 districts are declared as calamity hit, accounting for more than half of all districts in the country. Out of the 25 poorest districts in the country, 19 were calamity affected. Total estimated cost of damages, loss and needs is estimated at $46.4 billion US. The disaster will have profound impact on lives and livelihoods. Preliminary estimates of the post-disaster need assessment suggest that the national poverty rate will increase by 3.7 to 4 percentage points, pushing between 8.4 and 9.1 million into poverty, as I said, due to the consequence of this flood. Similarly, multidimensional poverty will increase by 5.9 percentage points, meaning that an additional 1.9 million households will be pushed into non-monetary poverty. Beyond the national average, poverty in the province of Sindh would increase by between 8.9 to 9.7 percentage points, and in the province of Balochistan between 7.5 to 7.7 percentage points. The recovery and reconstruction needs are likely to exceed Pakistan's available resources to rebuild itself in a sustainable and resilient manner. On August 30th, the Government of Pakistan and the United Nations jointly launched the 2022 Pakistan Floods Response Plan, which highlighted the main humanitarian needs and outlined an action plan to respond to the immediate needs of the people. And we hope to organize on January 10th a conference of Friends of Pakistan for building a climate resilient Pakistan to help us raise funds to carry out resilient recovery, rehabilitation and reconstruction of the country's infrastructure to mitigate, not only rebuild the damaged infrastructure, but also to build a resilient infrastructure that can withstand future climate disasters. Ladies and gentlemen, it is widely pointed out in the recent UNDP report that the great finance divide has been a key driver of divergence in recovery across countries. With additional millions of people in poverty due to COVID, the divergence caused severe setback to SDGs implementation in many countries. With scarce resources and stifled flow of funds into the developing countries, this finance divide is going to widen further, thus would harm implementation of SDGs. With low investment to GDP ratio, Pakistan being a net importer of funds, however, due to multiplicity of reasons, access to long-term and cheap financing are becoming scarce. Pakistan offers multi-billion-dollar investment opportunities in sectors aligned with the SDGs. The sectors ranging from transport and logistics, renewables and alternative energy, healthcare, education and technology and communication and finance. CPAC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, also offers enormous opportunities in trade and transport logistics, skill development and developing regional value chains with Western China and Central Asia. Pakistan is committed to enhancing its social development performance and allocate funds to improve social outcomes. It has also proposed that a $1 billion SDG financing pilot program to demonstrate sustainable and innovative partnerships for shared prosperity, stability and development in order to achieve the promise of Agenda 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no denying the fact that the climate change, pandemics and geopolitics have caused uptick in economic risks in the form of plummeting output, supply disruptions and other climate change related factors such as drought, floods and extreme heat caused crop yield to fall and world commodity prices to shoot up. In this context, the regional platforms such as Consortium of South-Southwest Asian countries require collective wisdom and efforts. The cross-country externalities impacting developing nations need to be addressed with collective efforts, with major role and contributions by the developing countries. Political leadership across the countries have a clear realization that growth can only be sustained through increased investment in human development, climate adaptation, disaster risk reduction, and by focusing on the needs of the marginalized groups, which more inclusive development. The development surprise for low-income and developing countries could not be optimally materialized without integration of economic, social, and environmental dimensions to attain enhanced human development across countries. A distinct SDG fund for South-Southwest Asia in line with SAARC Development Fund may be set up to fill financing gap for SDGs. Public-private partnerships and co-financing arrangements with other financial institutions within the region could be other avenue which should be explored to generate funds for investment. Efforts should be made for regional development finance frameworks promoting blended finance, debt swaps for climate action to mobilize financing for SDGs. The dedicated fund for loss and damage announced by COP27 will address losses and damages in developing countries. The consensus decision taken in this effect in Sharm el-Sheikh is a momentous achievement, especially for the Group of 77 and China. And we need to demand such fund for previous 30 years' losses as well. For mitigating climate change related risks, the sub-regional cooperation with respect to early warning systems with assistance of all relevant organizations to help save lives by providing time early warnings with respect to floods, cyclones should be encouraged and endorsed as well. The World Economic Forum emphasized on fourth industrial revolution as more than just technology-driven change. It is an opportunity to help everyone from all income groups and countries to harness converging technologies to create an inclusive, people-centered future, and to find ways to enable everyone to positively impact their families, organizations, and communities. But most of the fourth industrial revolution technologies also replace the labor which we have. With the COVID-19 pandemic crisis repercussions hitting all the economies with no exceptions, the importance of the use of technology increased and almost all types of work become of more significance like never before. It has brought the good news for you is that this is the last page. Never before, it has brought the adoption of technological solutions to unprecedented levels and emphasized the critical importance of digital literacy. Therefore, businesses have to prioritize investing in Industry 4.0 that have a positive societal and sustainability impact, and to find out balance between profit and purpose, and therefore to focus on societal issues including SDGs. Sustainability, expanding horizons of human capabilities and human development should be seriously considered by governments, businesses, individuals, and society as a whole. With concerted efforts and collective wisdom only, we would be able to defeat the effects of the future complexities and uncertainties. SDGs are more than ever critical today for offering practical solutions at a time when both developed and developing countries continue to face aftershocks of the pandemic, high inflation and slowdown of economy, worsening income inequality, job eroding technologies, demographic shifts, high fiscal pressures, depleting natural resources and environmental impacts pose further serious challenges for the future development plans of the developing countries. SDGs serve as a global compass for policymakers as they navigate a complex, dynamic and difficult economic, social and political landscape. No matter how severe are the opposing tides, future is not in abandoning the course, but in recommitting and re-energizing our commitment to stay on the course of SDGs. With these words, once again, I welcome all the international delegates and inaugurate the 6th South-Southwest SDGs Forum. I hope we will have significant takeaways from the conference, and I also hope that the recommendations will be practical, doable, because in one of the studies, it was found that a Sikh organization or a Sikh system is one which has a huge knowing-doing gap. You know a lot, but you cannot translate your knowledge into action. So today I think we have abundance of knowledge with us, but we are lacking to implement that knowledge, to make that knowledge useful to improve our world, to improve our societies, to improve our planet Earth. So I hope that this conference will really give us practical ideas to implement for more cooperation, for learning from each other and making a difference. And I conclude with the words of